We're going to talk about cloud or Azure and what is it. And really what it is, and I don't want to make you afraid of this, it's somebody else's computer, right? But much, much better. So the idea or the concept is if you're running your own business, you in the past would have bought a server and that sits in a closet somewhere, and you've got heating and cooling and power and backup and all this stuff, and that's yours. But there's a false sense of security that might be around that of like, well, it's mine and I own it and no one can get to it. But with the advent of the internet and everyone being connected all the time, there are unknown forces outside. So when you take an organization like Microsoft, who is now providing DoD level encryptions, and a lot of these will be US related, but there are Canadian equivalencies. They are providing services to some of the most highly classified organizations in the world. And with that comes a burden, that they are hitting every compliancy and security module out the door. SOC 2, SOC 3, PIPEDA, HIPAA, FINRA compliancies, and they've really doubled down over that in the last couple of years. Well, what does this mean for you? It means when you adopt that stack, you have instant access to those top tier security and compliancy regulations. And this is starting to become a really big thing in Southern Ontario, really in Canada in general. But if you've ever tried to go for a cyber insurance policy recently, they're starting to ask them very poignant questions like, are you compliant with this? Can you provide that? And the answer is always going to be yes if you're in Azure. They are leading the industry for compliancy and security. And that is something that you can leverage as an organization. So that's something that's worth looking into. Extending your familiar architecture. So even though it may mean adopting a brand new approach to technology, it doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a very, very good chance that your business was built off the back of Microsoft's infrastructure, right? Windows operating systems, Microsoft Office, server in the back end. So this is a company that has grown with you and has evolved its practices. And the best part about it is you're going to extend this architecture into its natural state. Azure, being provided by Microsoft, has a direct line really in all the technology you're already using. And they're changing how that works in the cloud. There's new technologies that you can start leveraging that do not exist in traditional formats. And we'll get a little bit more into that later. And actually, that kind of does lead into the industry-leading innovation. They are capturing large swaths of market segments right now because they're redesigning how the industry works. We're seeing this with a lot of the Office 365 stuff. We're seeing this with Teams. We're seeing this with virtual desktoping. We're seeing this on how you manage security and endpoints. And they're on a rapid acceleration and growth because they realize they need to be able to really pave the way for every other industry, because the entire Fortune 500 companies generally run on Azure. And the fun part about this is you're probably already consuming Azure and you don't realize it. There's a lot of back-end architecture and infrastructure that goes in and comes from Azure in your business and your day-to-day. A lot of software applications you're probably running right now, software as a service, there's a very good chance they're being hosted and presented on Azure. Things like Netflix and large organizations, they don't have their own data centers. They're leveraging companies like Azure to run and deliver this technology.